Hi, my name is Orin Charles, and I'm the instructor of this international marketing class we'll be doing today. Today, we'll be covering cultural considerations. We'll look at what culture is, what it means, and how it's applied in international trade and business protocol. Many of us know, all of us have heard of culture, but what does culture really need? When we're conducting business in other countries, we need to understand, respect, and engage with foreign cultures. In order to do that, we need to understand and define what culture actually is. Culture is defined as the attitudes and values of a particular group of people with similar habits. It's the beliefs, including religion. And these are different in different countries and different cultures around the world. It's customs. What are the traditional customs? What's the protocol and ways of doing things in different foreign markets? And it's manners that distinguish one society from another. Here in Canada, it's different in many ways than, for example, an African country or Asian country. So before you engage in international trade, it is important to learn all of these. I'll briefly touch on some of them now. Understanding different cultures helps bring an awareness and what we call a cultural sensitivity. Eliminating the belief that our culture is better, but rather we're different and unique. And how can we learn from each other to make it a positive and symbiotic relationship where both business partners are gaining? In other words, a win-win situation. This may mean that adjustments may need to be made. The way a Canadian business conducts business with another Canadian business may be altered or changed when going overseas to an international market. Here are the different elements of culture, and they all, each and individually, play an important role within this idea of international trade and global trade. However, they are all interconnected. Things such as language. It is important when entering a foreign market to understand the basics of language. The hello, the goodbye, the thank yous, and understand the nuances, the greetings. It is important to understand the religion as well. Religion is tied very closely to culture. In fact, business is conducted in a way that's often linked to religion. When we look at things such as Islamic law or Sharia, we see that business is tied so closely to religion that things such as bank loans are governed under Islamic law. We see days when you can conduct business are governed under religious law in certain countries. In Israel, on the Sabbath on Saturday, business may be restricted. In Saudi Arabia, during Ramadan, there are business restrictions during this month. Values and attitudes, how business is conducted, is all part of culture. Relationship building, which is something I'll touch on a little later, is also very much tied into the culture. Beliefs and social institutions as well. What do people believe and how do they see their business partner? Are you opposing forces or are you meant to work together? So these are all things you need to know. Negotiations are an extremely important part of culture and something that is very important when doing business. Negotiations are sometimes seen as a winner and loser in certain culture, where in other cultures we see as both sides should leave satisfied. It is important to understand what the basic practice of negotiations is. Do we start talking about negotiations right away, which we do in certain countries? Or do we first develop that relationship? Do we talk about the weather? Or here in Vancouver, the hockey team probably. We look at business protocol as well. What is the basic protocol? Do we shake hands first? Do we give a slight bow? If we've met them before, do we give a hug or a kiss on the cheek? These are all things you need to know. Business card, how do you hand it? With two hands or with one hand? That's going to create a first impression. That's going to tell your colleague or who you're trading with, is this someone I want to deal with? First impressions are absolutely critical. We have written communication. Is it formalized or is it more informal? Oral communication. Can we talk with humor, or do we want to avoid humor? These are all things that we need to know about foreign markets and foreign countries before we enter. Mass communication. What's the means of getting our message out to the masses? Is internet widely available? When doing business in certain countries, many people may not have access to internet. So maybe having internet is not the best means of mass communication. Rather, written letters may be better. Again, knowing the market. Conversational styles can tie into this. Can we use, like I said, slang? Can we inject humor as a means of negotiating and a means of conversation? Or not? Should we be formal and serious? Different cultures dictate different rules, and that's something we need to know. We want to make sure that our culture works for marketing success. We want to eliminate ethnocentricity. In other words, believing that our own ethnic group or our own culture is better or superior to others. We want to avoid that. That's a negative attitude, and you will certainly fail in international business if we see that, if you believe that. Rather, we want to understand and we want to gain valuable insight into the other side. Maybe completely different, opposite ends of the spectrum, but we want to really respect and learn from other cultures. This will help avoid misunderstandings. What's also very important is to get the right translation and interpretation. Interpretation is huge. Words don't always translate necessarily exactly, so we want to make sure that we have an interpreter, if we need one, that understands the social nuances. When someone speaks with emotion in their voice, we want to make sure we do understand that from our trading partner. Ultimately, we want to build a relationship. And in order to do that, we need to understand not only what we need, what we believe, but what the other side's thinking. What do they want? What do they need? What are they willing to give up? And what are they not? These are very important things that we need to know. We need to adapt to our local culture. Okay, so adapting to the local culture is necessary. What are the beliefs there? So when we go into a foreign market, we want to make sure that we understand all the beliefs, the culture, and have a deep respect and understanding while keeping our own company and our own integrity. And that's a balance that needs to be met and found. To summarize, we want to make sure that both parties are satisfied we're doing what's best for us, following our moral and ethical obligations, what's best for our business, of course, that's where we're working, but also making sure our partners are satisfied and happy. By understanding this and having a respect for not only yourself and your own corporate company policy, culture, but for having a deep understanding, respect, and relationship with your business partners in foreign markets, we are sure to see success in foreign markets. Thank you. My name is Orin Charles. This is International Marketing, and I hope to see you soon.